Have you ever seen an Indiana Jones movie and thought to yourself, well, I want to do that? Well, it turns out for $35 in Mexico you can. And guess what? It includes breakfast. We are about to go into the world of Xibalba. This is the underworld of the Mayans. So in here, the Mayans would prove themselves that they could be worthy of sacrifice and of honor. As you can see, there are bats all around us here. I'm not touching the sides. There's tarantulas on the wall in here. If it weren't for my headlight, it would be totally dark.
This is incredible.
Welcome to the PedrozaTravel channel, sponsored by nobody! Because I think we'd both be shocked if I was sponsored by anybody. But if you want to sponsor me, hook me up, call me. Email's in the description. Anyways, thank you for joining me on this adventure as we explore the Yaxchilan ruins. You probably are thinking to yourself, who's the Yaxchilan? Yeah, Yaxchilan. You probably never heard of these ruins, but I'm here to tell you all about it. So let's get on with this story.
Okay. Well, it all started.
Excuse me, Dr. Jones. This is my story. Like all good stories, this one started on a dark and rainy night. Well, actually in Palenque, Mexico, all nights are pretty dark and rainy because, let's face it, Palenque, Chiapas is in the middle of a rainforest. But the night before was important because I did a lot of research and I talked to a lot of tour operators to find out what kind of tours there were and how could I get to this mysterious ruins out in the middle of the jungle and be my very own Indiana Jones. It turns out that there was a lot of tour operators out there. It wasn't really hard to find a tour that would take me out to the ruins. In fact, I found one that went to both Yaxchilan and Bonampak. But this video is only going to be about Yaxchilan. So you might be asking yourself, how exactly do you prepare for an expedition into the middle of nowhere? Well, the answer is you travel light. Less is zen. With that, I decided I was going to not take a backpack, and I took my travel bag. And I'm calling it a travel bag because even though it looks like a purse, has a lot of pockets like a purse, I am a travel vlogger, so I can't call it a purse. So I'm calling it a travel bag. Anyways, the first thing that you want to bring into your travel bag is a lot of water. Water is essential, even in a rainforest. You'd be surprised how thirsty you get in the middle of a jungle. Other things that I also thought were important to pack into my bag were money, change, because nobody gives change in the middle of the jungle, mosquito repellent, a must, baby wipes, a pack of gum, a battery charger, and this hat that I thought was cool because it was reversible, so in case I got lost, I was highly visible. Important things to remember. Oh, and this headlamp that was important because some of the places got really dark out there. Well, with all those things packed up, I headed out into a Sprinter van to go even deeper into the jungle. And our first destination was breakfast. Breakfast in the border town of Corozal was pretty simple. It's buffet style, and surprisingly, there was a lot of options out in the jungle for breakfast. Plenty of fruit is always an option in southern Mexico. Check out these chairs. Aren't they cool? Basically, they were tree stumps. Beans, plantains, some eggs. That was my choice. Can't go wrong with that. And plenty of tortillas, of course. After breakfast, we headed to the Cinta River. The Cinta River is a very important river that divides Mexico and Guatemala. While we were boarding our boats that would take us to the final leg of our destination, we were able to see spider monkeys. They were very cute animals, but I have to say, we were warned that we couldn't get too close to them because if we did, they'd throw poop at us. So I didn't want any monkey poop on me, so I tried to stay away from them. But they were cute, and they made very interesting noises. They kind of sounded like jaguars. We're here at the river Yaxchilan. On the other side of that river is Guatemala. And we're here to take a boat. It'll take a... Yep, that's Guatemala over there. And then we're going to take a boat up to the ruins, which will be on the Mexican side of the border. But this is the only way to get there. The boat ride was beautiful. We boarded these wooden boats and we took a 1-hour trip up the river. It was so weird to be so close to Guatemala, but this was not an international tour. I asked the boat driver why people didn't just cross on their own to Guatemala, saying like you could basically just swim over there, and the answer was crocodiles. Looks like we have arrived. I can see pyramids on the lake, on the rivers here, and the first groups are already getting off. Soon we were getting close to the boat landing. As we got closer to our boat landing, the boat driver basically told us two things. First, he told us we were not allowed to take anything out of the ruins. And second of all, he told us he was going to drop us off at the landing, leave us there, and in 2 hours come back. And if we were not back at that same spot in 2 hours, he would leave without us in the middle of the jungle. So that was very important. Being somebody who has always enjoyed Mayan culture, I have found it interesting to find about the different sites of the Maya. And you might be asking yourself, how did you find out about such a remote place in Maya land? Well, first of all, you have to understand the Mayan didn't actually call themselves the Mayan. Maya comes from Mayapan, which is one city of the Mayans. But back in ancient pre-Hispanic days, all these areas were just city-states. And so these people would have called themselves the Yaxchilan people, not the Maya people. Yaxchilan has been around since about when Christ was born, but the buildings that we see today date as far back as 300 years after Christ, is when we start to see the first buildings of Yaxchilan, which those ruins tell us about a story where Yaxchilan went from being a small town to a large empire. Based on the Cinta River, Yaxchilan was important to the Mayan people because it controlled trade and tariff along the Cinta River. They did have plenty of enemies, and so there was lots of war in the area. Common enemies to Yaxchilan were Piedras Negras and even Tikal. This looks like a bunch of just rocks here, but this was probably something, road or another temple, probably a city wall. This looks like the Great City Wall. We're kind of like on the edge of a wall, it looks like here, because I noticed that it's elevated. Also, the Mayans were good at building roads, so this could have been like an elevated road as we're going into the main city here. Yaxchilan was a city of kings. On the other side of the river where the Guatemalan side today is where the locals would live, and the kings, the rulers, would live on this side of the river here in the city of Yaxchilan, which back then was not called Yaxchilan. Yaxchilan was the name that it was called by the explorers who found it, because it's by the Yaxchilan River. But the Mayans called this Minch Tinament, which meant the royal city. And so that's what it was. This was the royal city of the local Mayans. They controlled a lot of little towns around here. I look like a miner, but that's an important part. We're about to go into the maze, which is the underworld of the Mayans. So that's why I look like this right now. So let's go check it out. We are about to go into the world of Xibalba. This is the underworld of the Mayans. So in here, the Mayans would prove themselves that they could be worthy of sacrifice and of honor. And we'll check it out. Got my headdress on. I'm ready to go inside. We are in the underworld, and I definitely see bats in here. There are all sorts of mazes in here. This is a pretty crazy area. Whoa. And lots of dark steps you gotta watch out while you're in here. This is called a whipped scorpion. Half tarantula, half scorpion. As you can see, there are bats all around us here. I'm not touching the sides. There's tarantulas on the wall in here. If it weren't for my headlight, it would be totally dark. Oh wow. And this gets tight in here. We just made it to a Mayan trap. This is the end of the road here. We gotta go back. Si fuéramos Maya, hubiéramos estado en problemas. When you're stepping down here, it's hollow because there's more buildings underneath. We gotta go this way, I think. It's kind of muddy here. We were not the best explorers, but we did eventually find our way out of the maze. There's an exit this way and another room.
Take a picture of these ones.
Oh, yeah. This was the shortcut way.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. Okay, we went through one shortcut, but we got to the end. We're gonna make it out of Xibalba after all. So now that we have proven ourselves by going through Xibalba, the Underworld, now we are worthy here to enter into the Great Plaza. This would have been where you would have met the king and for all the major ceremonies for this area. Oh, this is an offering stone right here. This is where you'd offer your food. What offerings you were going to give. Trade huts. Huts like this would serve as customs. Since we were on the river here, the rulers of Yaxchilan would enact trade customs in these huts right here. That's what this was for. This is very typical. Here is a Mayan ball court, and those circles are the midway point, and this is a very typical game that they play here in the Mayan world, is Mayan ball. Let's see the hoop, but I do see the center point there. Kind of a smaller stadium. The next structure is structure 23, which unfortunately kind of got destroyed. It got destroyed in the 1930s by some British treasure hunters when they pulled out some very important stones. The stones, which are now in the British Museum, show Lady Ook. Lady Ook was the queen of Jaguar Shield, and she lived in this house, and she would cut herself with spines and use the blood as an offering to conjure spirits to protect the warriors in battle. The warriors would go through a path of spiritual cleansing that would end with a personal blessing by Lady Ook. After Lady Ook died, she was buried in her house. That was the custom of the day. This perfectly preserved stone marks the entryway to her room and lets us know that we must show proper respect even today. Up these big old long stairs is group 33. That's where I want to go. We'll see if I can get up there. I see people up there already. The largest building in Yaxchilan is Building 33. It is twice the size of the largest pyramid in Chichen Itza, and it belongs to King Bird Jaguar, who was the son of Lady Ook. The palace has 3 sleeping rooms that you can look into, one that has a decapitated god inside of it, and then on the outside there's some very interesting hieroglyphics that talk about the Mayan ballgame and show King Bird Jaguar himself. As cool as all these ruins were, our 2-hour time limit was very short in Yaxchilan. And darned if I was not gonna miss that boat, because I was not walking back in the jungle. I didn't even know where I was. Like I said, it was an hour in that wooden boat to get there. Well, we made it back to the boat, so we're good on that part. And now we're going back to the port and on to Monocaca. Hope you enjoyed this video about Yaxchilan. I know I enjoyed this place a lot. And I hope if you ever get the chance that you come down to southern Mexico and you explore this place yourself. I know I had a lot of fun. There goes our boat. And we are back on dry land. Well, sort of. The dock, the river is a little bit high right now, so the dock is underwater. So we're walking on this mud. But over here we can get over to the stairs. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and it keeps the message out there. And please come back again for next week as we explore more of southern Mexico. If you like these runs, we have so many new videos out there and so many new places to explore. So thank you for coming along, and we'll see you in the next one. Over there is Mexico, and over here to the right, that is Guatemala.